You definitely bet on the right direction.
Yeah, I figured it out at a young age that people in tech make more money than professional ball players.
Yeah.
I figured that out at 18.
Yeah.
So like that's why when people be like, how did you get into tech so young? Like, why did you decide to focus on it? Because I use Google. Like, I use Google. I literally went to Google. Yeah, I Googled it, looked at the numbers. I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. Like, you make more money than ball players in tech.
Yeah, it's not.
If you do it right,
glamorized.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not glamorized. Like, we not out here like, oh yeah, we're making more money than ball players. But I mean, we are. Like, for real. I'm not even gonna hold you.
So one of the things that's become all too common is really just me receiving a lot of questions from my audience, sometimes from strangers, just family members, whoever, people asking me questions about this industry. Many times the questions could be a variety from, hey, how much can I make doing this? All the way to, hey, did you hear about the layoffs that are happening here? Or even people asking questions like, hey, what's one of the best industries or slept on industries to get into? I've done a pretty good job at answering those questions. I've been getting a lot better, but my guest today does a phenomenal job of answering different questions. Such a phenomenal job. Many times I've reshared her content and I've been like, yo, y'all need to check this out. And I definitely appreciate it. I appreciate what she's doing from her tenure in this space, her being at different tech events, and just honestly, I've been watching some of the moves she's been making and been making adjustments with things I've been doing on social media with helping people get into this industry. So our guest today has been in tech since she was 16 years old, which is actually crazy to me. At 16 years old, I was like many people where I was just thinking, I hear tech, I'm thinking, you know, you working in like a IT center, unplugging and plugging things in. But she's been in the industry for a significant amount of time and has been able to help a crap ton of people, and beyond that, make a lot of money, scaling to over $225,000. Beez, that's actually my first time saying your name. I don't like you ever say someone's name like you know their name, but if you say it for the first time, I was like, oh, that's my first time actually saying it.
Yeah.
Yo, thank you so much for coming on. I'm a huge fan of what you do, how you going to go about doing it. We'll talk about it in a minute, but like you addressing some of the Redditors and you know, people on Reddit.
Oh yeah,
all the crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, they be going in.
Yeah, so it's you do a really good job of really you're entertaining without trying to be entertaining, and I think people like myself, I'll do like a lot of the TikTok stuff to be funny, but it's like you just educate, but in the midst of it, it's still so entertaining and it's so just full of just good content and good information. So. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being our guest at Texas New Black.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me out. Yeah, you know, I try to put out as much content as possible and just make it as valuable as possible. I'm glad to hear it's entertaining because, you know, when it comes to tech, most people, like, until TikTok, nobody really thought tech was cool, for real. Like, nobody really thought tech was cool. So I think that's great now that people find it entertaining. But I do want people to know, like, my real name, too. So everybody knows me as Beez, but my name is Symoné. So there's some people who are new, some people are old, might just now finding out about me. But, yeah, I've been in tech since I was 16, and I really got in, like, a unconventional way, for real.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. So you got into tech at 16. Like, first off, why did you want to get into tech at 16? And also, how did you do that?
Yeah, so it wasn't on purpose, right? So, like, when I was in high school, I never really liked class, like, at all. I played basketball, video games, and I cared about sneakers. That's it, right? So, in our district, we had something where we had a vocational school where you could go to the vocational school on your off days, right? So, like, 2 days out the week, you go to the regular school, 3 days out the week, you go to vocational school, right? So basically with that, they had different programs there. So they had tech, they had I think it was like firefighters, they had welding, they had cooking, all these different things that you could do at this vocational school, and it was completely free. So they had two different tech classes that you could take. One was just regular information technology, and the other one was computer networking. So like I said, I was just trying to get out of school, so I knew that the computer networking class was going to be way harder, and they were basically studying and preparing the students for getting their CCNA certification. So kids were 16 years old with CCNA certifications. Like, it was major, right? And then for the class I took, we were preparing for the CompTIA A+. So with that, you know, I ended up getting my CompTIA A+ at 16 years old, and then I also ended up getting an internship at 16 years old. So I got my first tech internship at 16.
That's incredible. That's so this is kind of like a little quick tangent, but with the CompTIA Plus, I saw you mention recently, and I get a lot of DMs. I'm sure you get just as many people are like, "Hey, I got my CompTIA, Plus certification, and I'm trying to get a job in tech." And I'll ask them many times, like, "Yo, do you have anything else?" Is that just they're like, "Yeah, I have this. I want to, I'm trying to get a job in tech now," and I didn't know much about it because I never got that certification. I was like, okay, I don't know much about it, but I would tell people I think you probably need to do more than just get that certification. And I saw you recently post something speaking about that. So I guess what would you say to whether it's CompTIA Plus or just certain certifications that are popular where people are like, oh, I'm gonna get this certification and get a job in tech?
Yeah. So honestly, the CompTIA A Plus, that's like the main one that people talk about getting, and it's really because like CompTIA has a trifecta. So they have the A Plus, which is basic computer knowledge, then they have Security Plus, which is basic security knowledge, and then they also have the Network Plus, which is network knowledge, right? For some reason back in the day there was like this thing that would go around, people would say, hey, you need to get all of the CompTIA certs. So that's why most people gravitate to the A Plus first, because that's the first one in that trifecta. But I'm here to tell you, you don't need the A Plus. Like, I think that it's just not worth the money, right? If you're gonna pay $500 to get the CompTIA A Plus just to get a help desk job, I just don't think it's worth it. In my opinion, if you want a cert to get a help desk job, you might as well get the Google IT certification. And I'm not a fan of any of the Google certs at all, but with the Google IT certification, it will help you get a job in help desk, and it doesn't cost nearly as much or take nearly as long as the CompTIA A Plus. So I wouldn't even waste your time with it.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate how you dispel a lot of myths and you clarify different things. But with that, so you got that internship at 16, broke into tech at 16, which again is still crazy in and of itself, a dope crazy. But from there, you ended up going to college to hoop because you a baller. But then you left basketball. For computer science. Like what made you what made you do that?
So like again, right? So I had the first tech internship. My dad, he always told me, like, I didn't know what I was going to go to college for, but I had a basketball scholarship. And my dad was like, well, you need to get a computer science degree because they make the most money. Software engineers make the most money.
Shouts out Pops.
So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I go to the school. I'm playing basketball there, and I can't manage that many things, right? So like the school that I was going to, they run the program like a D1 program. So like we had individual practice in the morning, we had team practice, we had study hall, we had all these different things we had to do, plus go to class. Now, computer science is not easy, right? So I could not keep up with it. So my GPA was mad low.
Wow.
So, my GPA was so low. So I ended up Googling what was the average salary of a software engineer and the average salary of a WNBA player. And I saw, I saw what the results were. And the average salary of a WNBA player at the time was $45,000, and the average salary of a software engineer was $100K. Like, so I quit the team the next day. I was out of there. I was like,
you're like, hold up, y'all. It's like, yo, if I make it to the WNBA, I'm gonna be making this. But if I focus on this computer science thing,
I'm gonna be making double. Not playing anything, not playing any ball, not doing nothing, just literally just sitting down coding. So quit the team, started actually focusing on computer science because at the time, I thought it was just like a one semester thing. You're young. You don't know what's going on. Like when I went to college, I was 17 and turned 18 like about a month after I got there. So I'm like, I didn't know we was going to be really doing programming the whole time. So I wasn't really paying attention. But that's what I did. I focused on computer science. And then I ended up leaving that school and transferring to VCU. And when I transferred in there, since my GPA was so low, they wouldn't even let me in the computer science major. I had to come in undeclared. So I had to work my way into computer science. So first semester did good, took classes to get in, got the 3.4 GPA, and then they let me in after that. And then from there, it was just like struggling through all 4 years, like just finishing. But, you can do it, right? I think most people think like coding is something that they can't do. But I believe everybody can learn how to code. Like literally anybody can learn how to code if you're willing to put in the work, time, and effort to really practice and just start working on projects when you're learning how to code.
Yeah. No, that's super good. And you know what's crazy? Even with speaking with the comments you made about the WNBA, we were speaking with a guest who he was sharing how, you know, because even if we talk about like what you make right now, and of course, like I don't know like your total comp, but even just like your kind of salary alone or your OTE alone, it's like we actually look at what NBA players are making, because we know that there's a huge disparity between like NBA players and WNBA players. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I know some people probably watch or listen and they'll hear and be like, oh yeah, well that's just for WNBA players. But actually, if you look up like what most NBA players are making over a 4-year contract, like working, like even what just your, again, not even your total comp alone over a 4 or 5 year period, you've made literally what an NBA player makes on a 4-year contract. And then of course their stint as an NBA player, the average time someone even plays in sports is just 3.5 years. So the fact that
there's no
you
longevity.
can continue to make that money and yours will just go up, even if you're just doing your job just because of, you know, natural like increase in salary, like you're going to be making more money than the average like even NBA player or NFL player, which is so dope, just the opportunity in this industry. So you definitely bet on the right direction.
I figured it out at a young age that people in tech make more money than professional ball players. I figured that out at 18. So like that's why when people be like, how did you get into tech so young? Like, why did you decide to focus on it? Because I use Google. Like, I use Google. I literally went to Google. I Googled it, looked at the numbers. I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. Like, you make more money than ball players in tech.
It's not, if you do it right. Glamorized.
It's not. It's not glamorized. Like, we not out here like, oh yeah, we're making more money than ball players. But I mean, we are. Like, for real. I'm not even gonna hold you. So, but and another thing too is like, there's a lot of ball players in my DMs asking for help. Now, because they see like tech is a viable path for them. So, you know, I love helping them out and giving them direction. Because like you said, the stint is not forever.
No, it's really not. You know what's crazy? It actually, in the midst of this conversation, it's all clicking now, because past 3, 4, 5 months, I've been seeing more and more athletes with blue checks following me, and it's been the weirdest thing, you know, because a few like, you know, old school famous people have followed me, and that isn't shocking because many times they want to hit me up and they're like, hey, I have a child that I want to get into the industry. But when I started seeing like young athletes follow me, it started confusing me. But then after having like a couple of them hit me up, and I started realizing, oh, like literally in the midst of this conversation, it all makes sense. Like basically they're all like, hey, this might be another opportunity for me because my career probably isn't going to last much longer, or some of their careers have already ended. And they're like, man, I need to make money. Especially at that point, they're used to making a certain amount of money. They're living a certain lifestyle. So they're like, dang, how can I keep this up? Especially if they haven't made smart investments using that money that they made, which, as we know, most of them haven't. You know, and so literally you just kind of helped it all click, because I was like, why in the world is these niggas following me? This is the weirdest thing.
They gotta still make money, you know. Like if you want to make a lot of money and still live a good lifestyle, I mean, in my opinion, I think tech's one of the best ways to do it.
Definitely. So you just mentioned that. So you went to school for computer science, hustled your way through. Basketball almost messed you up. Almost messed
me up. Like literally, GPA was trash.
But you did what you needed to do to get in there. So hats off to you. Salutes to you for that. But even though you know how to code, you're technical, but you left that side of the industry, the technical side of the industry, for I believe tech sales, right? So, and also you've caught some flack from people. I remember, I think one of the first posts I saw from you was either someone on Reddit or someone on Instagram was saying, oh yeah, you're only in tech sales because you don't know how to code. You're not, because there's this weird goofy nerd war in tech of people who are technical, where they're like, the rest of you aren't really in tech because you're not technical. But you addressed that person and said, actually, I do know programming languages. I do know how to code. I do have a computer science
degree. So I just chose to go this route. There's another guy on TikTok. His name is I don't know his full name, but his @ is like Tech Sales Tom.
I follow him on Instagram. We talk.
Exactly. Right.
And he's been getting the flack for that too.
He did the same thing as me. He went from being a software engineer and now he's account executive. But he's clearing $500,000 a year. So.
It's
like you do what's best for you. Like if y'all want to
Definitely.
be super technical, stay that route.
Yeah.
But if you want to go tech sales, you have the personality, go the tech sales route. Like that's what I think.
Yeah. No, that's really solid. Hey y'all, we have some incredible news that I'm super excited about to finally announce our private tech community. Yes, you heard that right. A private tech community exclusively for you all who want more than just the podcast. You want more than just the FAQs. You want to talk with tech recruiters. You want to talk with hiring managers. You want to talk with coaches. You want to talk with people that can help with editing and rewriting your resume. Maybe you're somebody where you just want to be a part of a community where we're talking about updates of what's happening in the software industry. Y'all, this community that we've launched is also going to involve a Discord where we're going to be talking about updates in tech. We're going to be talking about companies that are hiring. We're going to be talking about upcoming tech events. So that way you don't have to miss any of the gems that I know, but not even just what I know, but the gems that friends of mine that are also in the tech industry know as well. So if you want to be a part of that community, go ahead and sign up so that way you can join us. We have a few different tiers. Ultimately, it's all tuned in for you. Oh, and last thing, also within this community, we're going to be streaming all of our interviews with our podcast guests. So instead of you having to wait months to watch the videos later on, you will actually be able to watch the interviews in real time and ask your live questions to those guests. So make sure you join our tech community. And so even though you had mentioned earlier before we started recording, that someone was saying, hey, well, you could have just, continue, continue being a developer or a programmer, and then you could have gotten at a FANG company, and then you'd be making $500,000, with your salary, which is true. But I guess if you had to compare it to, and again, I want to be very clear, anyone who wants to be technical, if you want to program, any of that stuff, 100% for it, because we're speaking again about the tech industry is dope. This isn't some division or nothing like that, but just asking you, okay, why didn't Symoné or Beez, why didn't you go that route where you just decided to just end up at a FANG company versus being like, oh no, I'm actually want to continue or transition over to tech sales?
Right. Yeah. So for me, like even with my life, so I'm from Arlington, Virginia, right? So that from the DMV. So everybody in DMV works for the government or for a government contractor company, right? So growing up, I saw black people going overseas, going to go work in Afghanistan, Iraq, making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, mostly tax free, and then they come back to the States and they buy a house all cash. Buy a BMW
that's
all
why
cash.
so many rich folk in Maryland.
Yeah.
I was like, because Maryland has the most black wealth in it. Yeah.
It's the richest black county is in Maryland, PG County, Maryland. So I saw that, right? Saw that growing up. I talked to my parents. I'm like, what are they doing? They told me what they were doing. So it was always my goal from literally 16 years old to go overseas as an overseas government contractor once I saw how they were living.
Yeah.
I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know much about it, right? But that was my goal. So for me, I'm in the defense industry, right? I'm from the DMV. Everybody from the DMV is in, they work for the federal government or government contractor. So I ended up going overseas. And so I was a software engineer for 2 years for Raytheon. And then I decided to go overseas. They had a radar system engineer position. I actually had to get the Security Plus certification just to get the position. So I had to study up, pass the Security Plus. Took me 30 days. So I got that cert, and then I ended up getting my first overseas role in Japan. So when you go overseas, a lot of people don't know this. When it comes to overseas government contracting, you live completely for free. So your rent is free, your car is free, food is free, and you're living you're making tax-free money too. So right now up to $107,000 is tax-free. So I was making $140,000 a year, mostly tax-free. No state income tax because my mom lived in Florida, so that's where I lived at.
Dang.
No state income tax, mostly federal free. And I was making $140, right? So I was able to save 80% of my income. So saved 80% of that $140 and invested it, right? So it's just so much that people don't realize. So that's the route that I chose because that's what I was exposed to. I wasn't exposed to FANG, right? I was exposed to the defense industry.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I knew, right? So, and then another thing too that people don't realize is when it comes to FANG is that that's very slim. That is very slim. They say that it's harder to get a job at a FANG company than it is to do anything else. 0.02% people get jobs in FANG.
That goes back to like the NBA thing.
Yeah, it's like hitting a lottery ticket. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like a lottery ticket type thing, right? It's the best of the best are at these FANG companies, especially software developers. So don't get that twisted, right? Like it's something that people promote and glamorize on TikTok, but it's not for the average person. Yeah. So I like teaching people about ways that you can make a lot of money in tech. And it's not something that's going to be stuck to, oh, you got to go get a job in FANG at this company, these 4 companies to make $500,000 a year.
Yeah, no, that's really insane. You know, we've had guests on who have worked at, I'm not going to say any companies' names specifically, but they've worked at some FANG companies, and these guests in particular they've been in the industry for a while. They're like principal level. And many of them, no, at this point, all of the guests that we've had that are principal level, or they're like some C-suite level, they've all left. They left FANG companies, and they're like, yeah, I wouldn't work at a FANG company again. And they enjoyed the experience. It was great. It helped their resume. But they talked about how, you actually, once you reach a certain level, you actually make more money like when you're not at a FANG company, because of some of the, just benefits and opportunities. So, and they've kind of done some kind of comparison and contrast to being at a non-FANG company versus a FANG company. Again, once you reach a certain level, because some of those companies, as you know, some of them don't even hire an entry level type of role.
Right. Like unless you get in with the internships and you go to a school that is basically like a pipeline school. So they're literally coming to this one college or these few colleges and handpicking all the different software developers that they want, right? So that's something that people, they don't realize. Like a lot of these people that are already in FANG, they did not start with no experience, and then or they did not have any type of degree or something like that. They went to college for computer science. They went to a top school for computer science, and these FANG companies were recruiting them to get these jobs. So people have the upper hand when they're getting these FANG jobs because they're already in the perfect place they need to be at to get a job at a FANG company. So like, unless you have everything aligned for you outside of this, because like most people are new trying to break into tech, like you have to be the best of the best to get to a FANG company.
Yeah. So it kind of even makes it click a little bit more for me because like a crap ton of people. So I received well over 300 rejections just to get into the industry in general. And I was so hungry to be in tech, and I knew I needed something different because I was so broke. I was like, no, I just didn't even care about the rejections. I was like, I don't care. One of these are going to hit, and I'm going to kill it at that company, and I'm going to, really take this industry seriously. But I've seen people where they're like, oh man, I received 30, 40, 50 rejections. They're like, no one's hiring. And it's like, no, plenty of companies are hiring. And then I'll ask them, okay, what companies you apply for? And they're always listing these big tech companies where it's like, well, why are you doing that? Yeah. I'm like, do you realize first off how many people are applying to those companies? So it's you versus thousands of other candidates. And then those other candidates probably have a little bit more on their resume beyond just, hey, I got a certification, or even I went to a boot camp, or even a boot camp and stuff. And so it's like, yo, go the road less traveled. Like check out some of the other companies that aren't some as big on the radar. Other industries. And to that, so you went the government route for a while. How can someone, as another option, how can they get government contracts or security clearance? How can they do that? Yeah,
so basically when you're trying to get a government clearance, right? Now the main thing you want to be looking at is on the job posting, it's going to say ability to obtain government clearance. That's what you want to look for when you're trying to get sponsored. So you can go on to clearancejobs.com and you can literally just type in, let's say you're looking for a help desk job, right? You can type in help desk and ability to obtain, and all the different jobs that are sponsoring clearances will come up. So you can just replace help desk with whatever type of tech role that you're looking for, and that's how you can find the jobs that are sponsoring clearances. So that's something that a lot of people don't know. Most people think you got to go to the military. I've never been in the military, but I've been in this industry since I was 16. Like even my first tech job was with a government contractor company. So I've only had jobs with government contractor companies in the federal government.
Is that even to now?
Yeah, right now.
Oh snap! I didn't know that.
Yeah, I work for a cybersecurity defense startup.
I thought you had just started off there, and I thought at some point, wow.
I've never. It literally like U.S. I work for the Air Force. I worked for Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, and then the company I work for now.
You know what's so fire to me about that is because I've heard, and I guess maybe it was untrue, I heard that when you're doing a tech job or tech work with a non-tech company, especially even the government, I've heard, I know the government pays well, but I've heard that the government doesn't pay as well for tech roles.
Yeah. If you want to make good money, I wouldn't work for the federal government.
Okay.
Like until you get to the point where your salary is so high as a government contractor for the government contractor companies, then you could switch to the government and then ask them to match your salary.
Yeah.
So like I know somebody who's 30 years old and she's maxed out her government salary because she used to work for one of the government contractor consultant agencies, and she transferred to the federal government, and now she's a GS-15 step 10 at 30. That's like unheard of, literally unheard of. But it's because her salary is so high. Even with the match, she's still not making the same amount of money she was making before.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's the highest they can go.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I want to make sure I understood that clearly. So if I'm understanding you correctly, I would ask, why don't you? And I know like we talk. I know like you're not a super like. First off, you're making crazy money, amazing money already. But even with that being said, you're not like a super like money driven, money motivated person. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, money does motivate me. That's
Yeah.
why I got into tech. Like that's a big question people ask. Like, are you passionate about tech? Is that how you got in? And the answer was no. Right?
No, I saw the money.
I saw the money. Like I wasn't never passionate about software engineering, which is why I switched to being an overseas government contractor as soon as I could, right? So I went and switched and became a radar system engineer instead. And like even now, I definitely enjoy what I'm doing now more than everything I've done before. So now I'm a federal technical account manager, and it's great. Like, I love our product. Cybersecurity product is doing amazing. So like I love it.
Cybersecurity busting right now.
Yeah, it's busting.
I mean, because all these security people companies getting hacked. Data getting leaked, breached, all type of stuff is happening.
And right now the government is coming out with all these different cybersecurity directives that they must meet. So there's like over 400 agencies, and whatever companies are selling software to the government, you're making pretty good money, especially when it aligns with the directives they're coming out with. And you were just asking a question about, I think you were trying to ask like, what's the difference, right? So I want to just break down the difference between federal government and government contractor companies. Because people get it confused, right? So with the federal government, you already know that's like the Air Force, you got the Navy, you have
Marine Corps.
Marine Corps, right? You got DISA, all the different government agencies. There's over 400 of them, right? So
I didn't know it was that many.
Yeah, it's over 400 government agencies. So you have all these different agencies, and they have to pay you on a standard pay scale, right? So like I said, with the girl who transferred over, right? Even at the max, she's still not making as much as she was making.
You said
as
E15?
a government. GS-15.
GS-15.
Step 10, yeah. So that's the max for until you go to like executive level, basically.
Yeah.
They have SES. So basically how it works is the government, every time they need something done, let's say the government wants a website built, right? So the government's going to put out a request for proposal and say, hey, who can build us this website? Like, we need this website. Then the government contractor companies come and say, they submit their bids and they say, hey, we can do this for this amount of work. These type of people, it's going to take us this long. So the government does not actually do any work. The government contractors do all the work. That's why they make all the money. So the government has billions of dollars, right, every year to spend, but government contractors are the ones that are actually doing the work. So if you want to do technical work, it's better to go work for a government contractor company. So there's so many of them, right? There's Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, there's Booz Allen, Leidos. There's so many different government contractor companies, like a million.
Yo, so one of the most in-demand roles in tech, and one of the most roles that you all ask us about the most, is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is one of the most like recession-proof style jobs in tech. And to take it a step further, it's also a job where you can make a crap ton of money in this industry. Many of you have been asking us about the best route to get into cybersecurity. There are a few different routes that you can go, a couple different boot camps that I think are really great for cybersecurity. But recently we just partnered with one called Syntax Technologies. They are one of the most highly rated boot camps in the US. And to take it a step further, their boot camp isn't just under $5,000, but also they provided us with a unique discount to provide to our audience. So that way you all do not have to pay the full price for the bootcamp. This also involves any discounts they might have, any special sales that they might have. You can use this discount on top of their discount, their sale. Now listen, y'all, their cohorts are limited. They only have about 3 cohorts a year, and it's on a first come, first serve basis. So make sure you go ahead and sign up ASAP so you can speak to an advisor, and that way you can enroll in Syntax Technologies and become a cybersecurity analyst. Why are you choosing to be do government contracting over the tech industry?
Like big tech and FANG and
So
stuff?
I wouldn't even say big tech. Let's say, just the tech industry in general, whether we're talking small, medium sized, let's say mid-market, like a mid-market size tech company.
Yeah, it's because it's all I know, right? Like, I'm like a creature of habit. Like, I got my government clearance at the age of 18, right? So this is where I got to really stick at.
Yeah.
Like, even now, the company that I work for, like, I work in their federal subsidiary. Like, so they got a commercial side and they got a federal side, and we're selling our product to the government. Yeah. So, I could still go to the commercial side. Like, I was talking to somebody the other day because I'm working on transition as a sales engineer, and they were like, well, you could go on.
You're going to beast as a sales engineer.
I can't wait.
Oh my gosh, you're going to be such a beast.
I can't wait.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. So he was like, yeah, I mean, you could be a sales engineer on the commercial side. I'm like, nah. I'm like, one, our federal side is making more than our commercial side, and our federal subsidiary has only been around for a year. Like, that's how much money you can make just working with the government, right? So, and then I'm sure you probably know about people who like actually have their own companies and then they bid on government contracts. Like, I don't do that. I don't have time for that, right? Okay, so I just work for the government contractor companies, and you can still make a ton of money. Like, even now, I'm making $275 total comp, like, as a federal TAM.
That's good. That's so good. Yeah, the reason why I asked wasn't because I thought everything you're saying is great. I'm like, man, you're making good money, killing it. It was just I was like, hold up. I was like, is there something I need to know about that I need to, whatever?
It's just different. So, it's just preferences, right? And like I said, like, I've literally been working in this industry since I was 16. So for me, it's like, why switch up when this is literally good. It's good. It's all I know is working. Like people are contacting me every day to work jobs. Like somebody just sent me an email yesterday for a lead engineer role. Like, why switch if this is where this is where I'm at?
No, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. I love just I'm so happy we talked about this because again, this kind of conversation is good for people to know the other options in this industry, in this space. That's really good, man. I wish I had have known that because this would have been something I would have suggested to people sooner. But I mean, I'm knowing now. So this is just really helpful, incredibly helpful. So how can someone become layoff proof with your $100,000 a year?
Yeah, so I have my 100K year program, and basically what I teach people is how to gain the skills that are always in high demand. So like I was saying, right, recruiters are constantly reaching out to me because of the skill sets I have, because of the government clearance that I have, right? So that's really what it's all about, is I'm teaching people how to get the skills that are always in demand and which companies they should be applying to, how to do their resume, and really how to network, and just helping people get those 6-figure jobs. So I've helped hundreds of people make 6 figures, and I've even helped over 15 people make over $200,000. So man, that's like what I do, right? So I've shown people, because a lot of people never knew that you could make $200,000 plus in tech. So, like I told you, I was an overseas government contractor, and I was making $225 at the age of 25 when I went to Taiwan. So people, they didn't know. They were like, I didn't know.
Making bank.
Yeah, I was making bank. So people didn't know that you could make $200K plus in tech. And it really, like, I'm from Twitter, so it really spawned like a whole wave on Twitter where everybody was like focused on getting to 200K. So that's what we did.
Bump that 100K I've been talking about.
So we bumped it to 200. Yeah. And now there's people like, I mean, I be seeing people now, they're like at 300, 400K, like whether it depends on like they have their own, like they're doing 1099 contracts or they just overemployed and they work in multiple jobs. Like they get into
so
it.
many ways to get to it in this industry. It's actually wild. But no, I want to hear just a little bit more. So, I mean, you've helped a lot of people get just in the industry with your 100K year program. You've helped several 15 plus people get to 200K. So can you talk a little bit more about the program for people?
Yeah. So basically the way that it works is I have like a baseline course where I teach you everything that I know. So I teach you everything about the defense industry, teach you everything about the different tech careers that you can get into that don't require a degree. Mm-hmm. So you have those different options. And then I also teach people about insurance adjusting, which is completely outside of tech, but they make good money. They work long hours, but they make great money. You don't need a degree. Yeah. And in that industry, like you can break into it within 90 days.
I've heard about insurance adjusters.
Yes. Independent insurance adjusters make bank. So, yeah. So like I teach people about all these different options, and then I teach them how to, get their resume together, how to network on LinkedIn, and how to apply to jobs. And then we also apply to jobs for them too. So, you upload your resume to our service and we apply to 100 jobs at a time, let those cycle through, do what they do. And then if we need to run it again, we'll run it again for you.
Yo, that's so fire, man. Thank you for doing this. I mean, obviously it's not doing anything for me, but
right.
Just in general, what you're doing, helping people, all of that. I love it so much. That's one of the things, again, I've said about you that I truly admire. So one of the things I think is super dope about your program and about the whole notion of being layoff proof, that could sound crazy to someone, but you being a person, just based on the things I've seen from your content and also what you're talking about here, like you're a person who you constantly talk about leveling up your skills, and not being someone who's like, oh, I'm in this industry, I'm making good money, I'm straight. But it's like, okay, no, what's another skill set that I can add, another notch I can add to my belt that makes me stand out from my associates?
Right.
So if you're at a company where there might be some layoffs that'll happen, you will be the least likely person for them to lay off because you're the most stacked in terms of your skill set.
Right.
And I think that's just incredibly valuable and I hope people don't miss that, the value of that. Again, that's why we talk about, in Tech is the New Black, our whole thing right now is breaking the tech, scale in tech, start your own tech business. And it's like one of the things people miss with that whole scale in tech, oftentimes it could just get mistaken for scale just in terms of your income or scale in terms of your position. But it's like, no, scaling also means scaling your knowledge, scaling your experience. And so I love that that's a huge part of your focus is not just, hey, what can you do to get to a certain number and make good money? But it's like, no, like really grow your skill set so that way you become layoff proof.
Right, exactly. And, you could still get laid off, right? Yeah. That's something that people get twisted when I talk about layoff proof. It's like, it's not really under my control, right? Yeah. Like if somebody get laid off, you want to be able to get a new job within 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah. Like I know that if I wanted to leave this company, I would have a new job in 2 to 3 weeks. Easy. Like always. And it's because that I have the right skills and I'm always adding skills. So like people ask me all the time, they're like, I posted a video today and people ask me like, well, why are you thinking about getting a master's in cybersecurity? Why not?
Yeah, because they think, you're already in the industry. You don't need it. You don't need a master's.
Yeah, no, I'm not. For me, it's like it's just another thing just to add to my resume, add to my toolbox, and increase my knowledge, right? I think that so many people breaking into tech, they forget that everything's not going to have a direct impact immediately on you getting a new job or you getting into the industry, right? So at one point, I was talking a lot about the ISC squared certified in cybersecurity certification. And people were like, if I get this cert, will it get me a job? No. It was a brand new cert. It had only been out for like 2 weeks, right? Yeah. So, it holds no weight at all. And it's a very basic cert. But what it does do is it gives you basic cybersecurity knowledge, right? So I think people just have to stop looking at everything as how can I how will this help me get a job tomorrow, and think of it as how will it help me continue to build my knowledge and my technical foundation, because everything not going to get you a job right away, right? So especially because that was free. So it was a free cert.
Oh, it's free.
It's free. Why not do it if you're thinking about getting into the industry before you pay money, you know?
Yeah, no, I love that. One of the things I generally talk to people about, they're like, is there jobs? And this is even before the layoffs. People would ask me, hey, is there job security in this industry? And I would tell people, I would say, well, no, there's not job security. You know, and I come from Marine Corps, and it's like, the only security anywhere is if you're in the military. That's the only time you're really secure.
Facts.
You know, but it's like, people are, is there job security in the industry? And I would say, well, no, I was like, but listen, I was like, there's not job security, but if you work hard and you network well, I call it career security, right? Where it's like, just like Gucci Mane said, but we'll talk about tech companies. Tech companies are like buses. Get laid off by one, next 15, one coming. Right. They will literally be just sitting there waiting in your DMs like, we'll take you, we'll take you, we'll pay you more and give you more than what your last company gave you. But it's like, okay, how do you get to that point in that position? I think it goes back to what you're talking about, where it's like, hey, if you're upping your skill sets, then that's how you make yourself the number one person that they're going to want to hire if your company does like layoffs.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so that's how I look at it the same way, man. It's just, you want to just keep stacking up everything, right? Like, you want to be as valuable as possible. That's what it's all about. Like, if you're the most valuable person, you'll always be fine. Yeah. You'll always be fine.
Man, I love that so much. I don't know why I keep thinking about your TikTok videos. I guess because most times I've seen you, aside from when we met in Austin. Yeah. Most times I see you. I guess it's on social media.
Yeah.
And it was the same way. What's the name? Tay on Tech was here earlier.
Oh yeah.
And I told him you were coming, and he was like, "Oh snap!" But I remember there was this post where someone was like. It actually might have been the first post I saw of you where someone was saying, there's no way you're making that kind of money and you've been in tech this long. Oh yeah. It's like, where's all your jewelry?
Where's all my jewelry and stuff?
Such. And you're like, okay, like I'm not on here to flex or nothing. Right. And you're like, I mean, whatever. And you're like, I guess I'll show y'all a couple light flexes. And then you went on to flex real hard. I was like,
yeah, because it just depends, right? Because some people, that's how they come off. Like, everything is just like all the flexes first. Yeah. But like, I just focus on just, hey, I'm just giving you valuable information. Yeah. Like, I'm not here to like show all the things that I've bought over the years. But I'm like, but if you want to see them, here's some things that I bought like over the years. Because like, it's reality. Like, people get into tech, they work jobs to make money, live however they want to live life, right? So, but yeah, like, I think that's I flex every now and then on social media.
That was so funny because I'm definitely one of those people where I think my brand is very like, it's pretty loud and it's pretty like, showing this, showing that, whatever, all the time. And now I'm trying to transition more to like, giving information. I mean, even the whole point of Tech is the New Black, the whole point of this podcast is because, hey, I could have just stayed on Instagram and just went live, or I could have taken my content and put it anywhere, but I could have just continued just to answer the questions that I knew how to answer and say the things I knew. But I was like, well, no, let me bring on guests in different industries in tech, bring on people that some will be making more money than me, some less money, but they're doing something really cool. Yeah. And they can talk to things on a level that I couldn't talk to. Like, even the things you're talking about with government, government contracts, how long your longevity in the industry, your knowledge, just all the things you're doing are things I could never speak to. Right. And that's the whole point of it. But it's like, I know in terms of my brand, it's like, okay, my brand is definitely showy, but it's okay, let me transition and just kind of give you more knowledge and more information. But yeah, it does get weird when people are kind of like, well, no, there's no way you're making this because you have to have this and have to show this and have to show that. But on the flip side of it, me being the person who was showing things, I deal with other people that are like, why are you showing so much? So it's one of those things you realize no matter what you do, someone's going to say something. They're going to say something when you do it. They're going to say something when you don't do it.
Right. And then something else I want people to realize is that nobody pays attention unless you're showing stuff, right? So like, I have been talking about overseas government contracting and getting into tech for so long, since like 2012 on Twitter. And people actually did not start paying attention to my overseas content and just not even content. I was just tweeting, right? They didn't pay attention till I posted my paycheck. I posted my paycheck, and that's when people started paying attention. Cause like even back then, like I didn't show much of anything. I was just tweeting. That's it. So like I just started making videos and stuff like that this year, really.
Yeah. And that makes perfect sense. When I first was telling people, hey y'all, this industry is amazing, people should consider it. The number one thing I was hearing is how much you make. They're like, how much can you make? How much can you make? So I was telling people, well, like I make this much, and I was like, you can make this much, make that much. And then a bunch of people were like, oh, this is cap, this is cap. And then what people were saying was, I was living in Vinings at the time. For me that was a nice area. But
you know, they don't have like stuff. Yeah, for me, but I'm saying they were going in because you lived in Vinings.
Yes, people. I was literally on live, and then people were commenting, and they were like, no, there's no way he's making this much. Look at where he lives. Like, and then at the time I was driving, I had this Jeep Compass, whatever, decent car. People are like, look at where he lives, look at what he drives. Yep. There's no way he's making this kind of. I'm like, I'm in the middle of my lease. What, you want me to break my lease to go to a high rise just to flex for y'all?
Right.
And then the irony is that when I moved here, I was on live, and then I found out people thought my background was a green screen. I ain't
gonna hold you. I thought it was at first too. Because it looked like it. It looked like it at first, but then you look and you're like, no, that is a real, like, you could tell. You're like, okay, yeah, that is.
I've actually looked at my videos and been like, dang, my background do look fake.
It do. It look fake. But that's how far technology has come. Like, it looks so fake. Know. Yeah, it's hard to tell because the quality's so good.
Yeah,
that's good quality. Good.
That's funny. But these deep fakes about to have folks real, especially the stuff ChatGPT. And stuff's about to be real. Or that thing you ever look? And this is a complete tangent, but that thing where it said this person doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You ever look that up?
Yeah, I seen that.
Oh my gosh, it's scary, some creepy stuff out here.
Social media gonna change a lot over the next few years.
It's about to be real creepy out here.